It is 9 a.m. on a Tuesday. The folding tables are set in a rigid grid, the box lunches are waiting in the back, and the corporate compliance training is about to begin. But look up, and there is usually something hanging overhead that betrays the room's current job, a massive tiered crystal chandelier. Check the venue invoice, and you will find the fossil sitting right there in plain sight. You booked the Grand Ballroom. There is a literal ball hiding inside that word. The word traces back through French and Latin all the way to the Greek ballizain, meaning to leap violently and throw one's body about. How did a term born from wild kinetic movement end up on the door of the most static, boring, regulated space in corporate America? For centuries, you couldn't rent a grand space for a gathering. The ballroom was an exclusive instrument of state power, controlled entirely by monarchs. These early spectacles carried massive physical risk. In 1393, King Charles VI of France threw a party where he and 5 noblemen danced in linen costumes soaked in highly flammable resin. A straight torch caught one of the costumes, and 4 of the 6 noblemen burned to death on the dance floor. The king survived only because a duchess threw her skirt over him. History remembers it as the Ball of the Burning Men. Keep that in mind the next time a modern venue manager frets over an open flame permit for a tabletop candle. By the late 1600s, monarchs like Louis XIV refined this danger into pure politics, using massive dance spectacles to force his nobles into absolute submission. In this era, the room was a closed system. The ballroom was an exclusive weapon where nations flirted, borders were redrawn, and proximity to power was the only ticket inside. The gathering space finally left the palace and became a public commodity in the 18th century. The gentry needed their own spaces to socialize and be seen, leading to the creation of the assembly room, the direct ancestor of today's hotel event space. When Almack's opened in London in 1765, it introduced a new business model for the social elite: ticketed admission. Entry was tightly controlled by a committee of aristocratic lady patronesses who cared only about your bloodline, ignoring anyone trying to coast on new wealth. Oddly enough, the first exclusive ticketed venue in modern history offered incredibly austere food. Guests were served tea, lemonade, some bread and butter, and plain cake. No strong drink was allowed. The ball was no longer a royal gift. It was a reservable asset. Pay for the room, gather, disperse. The white box business model starts here. The next move was to embed this standalone structure directly inside the modern luxury hotel. In 1889, a young manager named César Ritz and a chef named Escoffier took over the Savoy in London. Together, they made the act of high society dining and socializing in a public hotel fashionable, even scandalous. This vintage photograph shows how New York finished the job. When the Waldorf Astoria opened in the 1890s, its massive ballroom became the stage where the Gilded Age performed itself. Staging costumed events at this scale proved a hotel could host the party of the century. Decades later, when Truman Capote threw his black and white ball in 1966, he did it in the Grand Ballroom of the Plaza. The hotel ballroom had become the default stage for the American social spectacle. The hospitality industry successfully commodified the royal spectacle, creating a theater available to whoever had the deepest pockets. But somewhere in the 20th century, the dancing stopped. You can track the shift starting in 1922, when the term function room was first recorded. A massive piece of commercial real estate dedicated solely to waltzing could no longer justify its own existence on a balance sheet. To survive, it became a flexible blank box designed to host banquets, trade shows, and webinars within the exact same footprint. The waltzing left so the room could pay rent, but they kept the grand chandeliers on the ceiling to justify the price tag. There is one notable holdout. Vienna still throws over 450 actual balls a year, actively holding the line on what the space was originally designed to do. Everywhere else, ballroom simply became a polite historical mask. It is a title slapped onto the largest, most profitable empty container in the building. Which brings us back to that 9 a.m. compliance training. Every time an event planner books that room, they are renting the faded ghost of a space where empires danced and kings caught fire. All that kinetic history has been obscured. The danger, the statecraft, and the spectacle are still sitting right there in the name. We just decided to put a projector screen in front of it.